What's going on, you guys? It's AskCat bringing you guys another video, and in today's video we're going to be going over 3 potential leads for side Easter eggs on the final Reich. These are things that I've heard talked about briefly in different videos, but I am going to be going into these 3 specific things: the Zombie Grate Easter egg, the music sheet Easter egg, and then the
glass boot Easter egg.
I was considering doing like a rapid fire, like just real quick, those random odd assets around the map that still pique my interest, but I'll probably save that for my next follow-up video just so it's a little bit separate from this one and I can go into a little bit more detail with these 3 things that I want to list off. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and yeah, let's get right into it. See you guys in there. First thing I want to cover in this first section would be the zombie jump scare Easter egg that I was referring to. This could potentially be an Easter egg, and the reason I say that is because it only works up until a certain point, and also when you kill these zombies you get a specific noise that definitely makes you wonder if there could be something more tied to this. So I just want to go ahead and quickly show you guys that the soonest point you can do it is like pretty much right out the gate, and I mean that literally in the sense of right out the gate. So you get your 750 points, get out of spawn. As you can see, I'm still on round 1, though I killed those first 2 zombies and I got my points to get out of there. You'll run over to these grates just right over by the bunker, and specifically these 2 will produce a jump scare zombie. So you can go ahead and kind of just stand over the grate. As you can see, that was the first one. You'll get your second one right here. Maybe. There we go. Takes a second sometimes, so don't think like it didn't work. You can do this all the way up until you activate the fire pit trap. It's stronger than a regular zombie. It has more health. It has a different property to it for whatever reason. It is possible to kill it, but the only way I've really seen it killed, your best bet would be to go ahead and use an insta-kill or potentially the Mark II upgrade for your free fire. And if you don't have your ability charged yet, you could go ahead and obviously bring in a I believe it's called an Uberladen, like a full meter. Just to like clarify that this fire pit trap activation for the first time, that is the trigger that actually allows this to stop working. Like you guys can see, I'm still on round 1. I got both of those jump scares zombies to work, no problem. And then I'm going to go ahead and proceed to do what I just said, activate the fire pit trap in my next run. And then you guys will see that this doesn't work anymore. I'm going to go ahead and run all the gas valves, turn all those on, and then turn on the fire pit trap, and then I'll be right back. I just want to go ahead and show you guys, like, I'm not doing anything fancy. It's literally just as simple as turning on the fire pit trap. That is the, basically that's the trigger for not allowing those jump scare zombies to spawn anymore. So I'll go ahead and speed that up, and then we'll be back as soon as I activate that fire pit trap. Alright, so like I said, go ahead and activate your fire pit trap, and then you can go ahead and take care of whatever zombies you want to take care of, or do whatever you want to do. But like I said, those zombies will not spawn over there in the grates anymore. And I think the reason for that is that this section of the map is now opened, so that they really just don't have that potential of being a jump scare zombie anymore after you've activated the fire pit trap. I do find it fascinating that, like I was saying before, it's interesting that it's tied in with the casual path. Like the quest literally directs you towards not seeing this, essentially, because they tell you to activate this fire pit trap, and by doing that you're locking yourself off from ever seeing this in the first place. So I think it's interesting you can only see that before you activate that trap. It definitely echoes the tortured path in some sense to me, because with the tortured path you have your 10 rounds, you have to get things done at a specific round, otherwise you're literally just not going to be able to do it. And it's not necessarily that things get locked off, but it's like you can't progress to a point where you'd be able to do that. Say you're a few rounds behind on doing this Easter egg on the tortured path, and your boss fight is coming right up, so you never get that potential of being able to finish off the rest of your steps. That's what I'm saying by it's like the rest of it kind of gets locked off. So like I said, this great Easter egg, in some sense it kind of echoes that. Obviously as soon as you activate that fire trap, you no longer have access to this, so it's definitely weird. It's definitely weird. So that's going to go ahead and wrap up the Zombie Grate Easter egg section. And obviously this needs a bunch more testing, and we don't know if this could potentially be something or not. I think it's very peculiar because obviously once you activate that fire pit trap, as I've said time and time again at this point, it locks it off. So in some sense it's tied in with that casual quest, but you're only able to do it up until a certain point. And then you're no longer able to engage with it because the casual quest has kind of locked it off in some sense. So, like I said, it's very interesting, definitely needs more testing, and that's why I put it as #1 on our list of potential side Easter eggs. So jumping right into section 2, we're going to go ahead and just discuss the music sheet and how you actually get access to this. If you guys saw in my intro portion of this video, you would have noticed that when I did show that we were going to be talking about this music sheet, it was actually a harmonica, more so like a book rather than an actual music sheet. But on the back of this book, it does have like almost like a music diagram. And then on the front of it, you can clearly see that it's a harmonica based music book. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. And give me a second, but I've known about this for a while. So I went ahead and I bought a harmonica the longest time ago. And I've just never really given the time to myself to go ahead and just like practice that and potentially learn whatever the heck this may be hiding. But I do have the harmonica to potentially do this whenever I do find the time. So before I actually was doing this part of the video for this harmonica section, I actually didn't realize it was in fact a harmonica book or Easter egg. It was more so like speculated that it was a harmonica sheet, and that's why I bought the harmonica in the first place. But while I was doing the testing for this, if you do this a certain way, you can actually get the book to stand directly up, and you can see both faces of it. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys the footage and how you would actually go about revealing this and seeing this in-game. I will have the video linked in the description below that actually put me onto this in the first place. So just like I was saying with the jump scare zombie grates over here, nothing fancy, just simply go ahead and activate all of your gas valves, activate the pilot light, jump down into the sewers, activate your power generator, open up your bunker, and then go ahead and open up the morgue side of the map because the sheet is actually over in the morgue. Okay, so just so you guys can see, we went ahead and opened up the fire pit trap, turned on the generator like I was saying. We're now opening up the bunker, and we're just going to go ahead and make our way directly down into the morgue section of the map. We don't need to do anything else. Simply just going over here and then checking out this table I'm about to show you guys right now. This one right here specifically will have this book that I was referring to with the music sheet on it. So you can go ahead and shoot that. And then every now and then, if you do it just right, it will actually stand directly up. But as you can see, there's the book right here. I'll see if I can go ahead and kind of clear it out a little bit more so you guys can actually get a better view of it. It's literally as simple as shooting, meleeing, or throwing a grenade at this table, and all of those books will fall through the table, and then you'll be able to see that book with the sheet on it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to show you for this section, and if you are interested in the translation for this book,
this roughly translates as learn how to play harmonica, impress your friends, learn classical German songs like Der Schlossergeissel, Hans and Liesel, and much more. Now, that is the 3 German parts you see, the top, middle, and bottom.
Check out the video in the link below that actually, in my opinion, debuted this Easter egg in the first place. I don't think this guy actually found it, but he saw it posted over on Reddit or maybe Twitter. Yeah, that was basically like when it was drawn to my attention is when I came across his video. And he did point out the fact that he wasn't the one who found it, but he did want to kind of get more eyes on it. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to show you guys for this music sheet Easter egg. It's as simple as going down here into the morgue and, like I said before, shooting, meleeing, or throwing a grenade at this table, just so you guys can see that book pretty much. Alright guys, so it's been a couple days since I've actually been working on this video, and I originally had an entirely different section planned for my third and final portion of this video. But I actually have now replaced the Odd Pod Easter egg with the Glass Boot Easter egg, potential perkaholic Easter egg, if you will. And the reason being is that some of the information I put out wasn't actually entirely true. So I actually went back and I made a video that I'll have on screen now. And that pretty much just goes back and I did some more testing to actually really figure out the true triggers of that Odd Pod. And it wasn't necessarily connected to the Easter egg in the way that I initially thought it was. And yeah, so I didn't necessarily put that information out intentionally being incorrect about it or trying to mislead anybody. It was more so I just needed to do more testing, and I wasn't being as careful and as patient with the testing as I should have been. I should have put more runs into it. But I actually do have another video planned about the odd pod coming out very soon, probably right after this one, specifically because it is still very intriguing to me. And I have been messing with it even more because obviously, like I said, some of the information has changed, which has therefore intrigued me even further. Yeah, I will be covering that again in a separate video. It is actually going to be the honorable mention for this video because, like I said, it was going to be the third section. But I actually am now going to go ahead and start getting into our third section, which is the glass boot Easter egg, potential perkaholic side Easter egg. And actually, while we're at it, I was actually looking into this a little bit more for this video, obviously, and I would actually like to rephrase this glass boot Easter egg even further into potentially a teddy bear Easter egg. I'll get into exactly what I mean and I'll explain why, but I think this teddy bear actually has more implications than the glass boot itself. I think that the glass boot could potentially be tied into this teddy bear still in some way. I'm actually thinking about a way it could connect, actually, as a matter of fact, right now that I wasn't thinking about prior, but we'll get into that when I get to that point. And yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind. That's interesting. But I'll explain exactly what I mean, why I think this teddy bear is way more interesting than just the glass boot, and also why I think this teddy bear could potentially be involved in a branching Easter egg. Okay, so I've been playing around a little bit, so I am on like wave 6 right now, but the same thing applies really. You can do this right out the gate. So just go ahead and run over here to the toy shop, and this is the teddy bear that I was kind of implying with this teddy bear branching Easter egg. So you have this teddy bear obviously right here. We've talked about this in a few of my past videos, but it obviously has a missing right arm. So a missing right arm, how you're seeing it right now on screen, and a missing left foot. So I'd like to point out that it does have its leg, it's just missing its foot or potentially its lower leg. But if you actually pay attention to this teddy bear, I'd like to point out that if you're sitting in its position, there is a note to its left, and you obviously have an injury of the left foot. So I would like to go ahead and point out that I think that this could be a separate Easter egg to what I was going to talk about in terms of the right side of the bear. So right here, we can obviously see that same bear sitting in this wheelchair, aka it has an injury, and we clearly see these bottles on this mantle sitting directly in front of this bear, who's almost longing at them for like a medicine or a cure, if you will, which to me, in this sense, almost implies this perkaholic Easter egg. So we have these random colored bottles around the map that break or don't break, and we can see here that none of those three right there break. So I think those are kind of like the display to give us some sort of a hint. And then I also have noticed that this one doesn't break as well. I'm definitely not the first one to notice that. I'm not trying to even say that by any means, but I'd like to point out that that note or that letter was to that bear's left, which so happenly this post office where this teddy bear is injured, clearly looking at some bottles, makes me think, okay, we need to go around shooting random bottles, which so happenly break in that same sort of fashion or animation as this glass boot over here. And it's not even going to be here anymore because I've already been over here, but I'll make sure to get a clip of it. But it spawns right here, and it breaks with that same shattering glass effect that you saw with those bottles that I just shot. And there's plenty of these around the map. Like, there's even some here in the pub. So you saw that one right there. There's one right here, one right there. If you go down here, there's a bunch more, like alongside the riverside. So you'll get this one right here next to the weather vane you use for the hardcore Easter egg. There's a few more over here on this little well, or whatever you want to call this. So there's different just random bottles all over the place that you can break potentially in some sort of fashion that I think would potentially tie into the glass boot, which is also, I would like to point out, on the left side of this bear, which we have a random boot that we don't know what we do anything with. And I think that could potentially tie into the fact that on the left side of this bear, like I was saying, you have this missing foot. So that would potentially tie in this glass boot that we don't know what we're doing with or why it's even there. I think that would tie into the left side of this bear and how it's missing a foot. We have the letter to the left side of the bear in the toy shop, but I think the actual letter sitting there next to the left foot that's torn off, I think that it's implying the post office, which is also to the left of the bear, which has the bear sitting in the wheelchair looking at these bottles. I think that's supposed to be a hint for this perkaholic Easter egg. And then that's going to pretty much wrap up the left side of this bear. That's the crazy part. That's what I want to say. I think this is a branching Easter egg. I think there's additional evidence to actually hint towards a potential branching Easter egg here. And what I mean by that is if we actually take ourselves up into the toy shop again, it seems like there's two different things going on here. So we have, obviously, like I said, to the left, we have that torn foot and this letter or this message of some sort, which I think implies the actual post office, which is also to the left. And I think the missing foot implies the glass boot, which is also to the left. That being said, I would like to go ahead and point out that I think there's a branching Easter egg here because that would only imply these two things right here on the left side of the bear, for one. And I guess you could also imply the entirety of the bear because the entire bear is sitting in that wheelchair, I guess. But there's also these two plates right here that we don't know what is going on with. So I think maybe, even though they're on a separate table, I think they're part of the same thing. To the right, you'll notice we have this Jack in the Box logo, or I guess the top plate that would actually close the box, I would assume is what the actual piece is. Yeah, you have this Jack in the Box plate, and I think that's implying the mystery box actually, because that's actually how we know is the only way to get the Jack in the Box on this map at this point in time. And there is actually an increased chance if you're playing with other players, there is a way that this works. And I'll have this posted on the screen. So like I said, I will have this on screen for you guys, but it is a official Call of Duty book. And you'll see that it has this section for the Jack in the Box specifically. And if you go down here to the bottom of it, it actually has this little passage that I'll have on screen for you guys now. So I just want to go ahead and show that on screen now to go ahead and prove that this isn't crazy, but essentially you boost your chance of getting the Jack in the Box out of the mystery box by basically switching who hits the mystery box every single time someone hits it. So essentially, as you go down the line, each person gets a better chance of getting the Jack in the Box out of the mystery box, which I think could tie into this Easter egg, honestly, which is why I think this is the first thing. And I'd also like to point out, this might be a little bit weird to kind of think about, but I think that the toy shop sign for the teddy bear is actually our middle point. So I'm not going to say we necessarily need to stand like this in order to separate the map per se, but I do think that that's kind of like our middle point for like the teddy bear's legs, if that makes sense. And then we can say, okay, to the left we obviously have the post office and we have the glass boot, which matches with that sign. And then we have, say, we have this teddy bear's leg, which I guess you could say is this barrier or the bunker door, which is why I'm trying to imply that maybe the sign is like the middle point in between the teddy bear's legs. But I think this could potentially be like the bunker door. We need to open that up. Then we get to the mystery box where the Jack in the Box spawns. And then I think these parts could be implying some other sorts of things around the facility or the bunker as we go down through. But you can see what I'm saying. Like, so that would be like in between the bear's legs, we have this bunker door, which would be, I guess, a barrier or the leg, if you will. And then you go down farther into here, you have the mystery box, which could also be the Jack in the Box. And then I think there's further points further along where we could say this could tie with this, but I actually do need to do some more digging into that to really see if there's things that really tie up with the rest of this theory. But the thing that really ties me down into the morgue or potentially onto this theory at all is the fact that the teddy bear could potentially match this corpse. So I've talked about this in one of my past videos, but it's basically the fact that this corpse you're about to see in front of you has a missing lower left leg, which is why I'm implying maybe the teddy bear is missing a little bit more than just its foot. It maybe is missing its like shin area, or like it's just its lower leg in general. So it would match this this zombie pretty much. But you'll also notice there is a sword symbol directly over its right arm, kind of like projected from this projector that's to the left of me in game. You'll notice that there's, like I said, this sword symbol implying maybe you could chop off the zombie's arm, which would make it match this teddy bear. And who knows what that would do, but it is interesting that you have that sword symbol coincidentally over the right arm, implying that that teddy bear could potentially be a hint towards something more. And I really don't know where else to go with this other than that. But like I said, I do think that teddy bear is actually more important than just the glass boot, which is why I wanted to rephrase this as the teddy bear Easter egg rather than the glass boot Easter egg for this section. Like I said, I think for like saying you're looking at the teddy bear and it's sitting this way, I think that for the left side of this teddy bear, I think this is going to be the Perkaholic Easter egg, if that makes sense. And then I think this is going to be whatever other Easter egg there's going to be. We obviously know we get the Jack-in-the-Box first thing when we get into the bunker, which is why I'm implying maybe this is the bunker door, and we need to get through that in order to get to the mystery box and get the Jack-in-the-Box. And then these could be other things, other variables around the bunker, which I obviously would need to do some research and like actually experiment with and see if there's things that match up and make sense logically to tie that to. But yeah, I just really wanted to throw that out there. And this is kind of a little bit more far-fetched, which is why I wanted to put it towards the end of the video. Yeah, I hope that one of these 3 leads potentially set you guys onto wanting to dig a little bit further into something, especially with the final Reich. It's hard nowadays with obviously devs kind of all being moved on. Can't talk about the games really. It's not one of those games in particular that people even really want to hunt or search in anymore. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Like I said, I do have a separate video planned. I'm planning on expanding on the Odd Pod research that I've been working on, because there are a few things that have stood out to me that could potentially, it almost seems like I'm not entirely wrong with what I put out, but I was a little bit off, so I do want to like retouch on things and expand upon what I do know now, and then also the things that I said in the past that I thought were wrong, but they actually weren't entirely wrong. Yeah, I guess that's going to wrap up the video here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.